Friday, June 6th, D-Day. Historically, it's quite a day in history, and we'll get there eventually. Welcome back to Damon Bruce Plus, brought to you by Ike Sandwiches, our good friends at the Dubliner as well. Welcome back to Sam Batesh. There you go. He's aligning our heads to make sure. There's a man with a TV background right there. He didn't like his head higher than my head. How are you, Sammy?
I'm doing so great, but you've got a story to tell. I mean, whenever we make, little trips out of the house, whenever we're in the wild in the world, I feel like that's worthy of conversation. And we are going to get to Aaron Rodgers, but I got to hear about your day at the ballpark quickly with you and Jack or at the game. I mean, it's tremendous. And I know the world's already seen and heard some of that, but I got to hear it.
It was magic. It was magic. It was everything that you'd want with your 5-year-old son at the ballpark. Oh. We're watching Jung Hoo Lee play center field. All kids are more distracted by the cotton candy and the pretzels. And of course, Jack wanted to know is like, what's a churro? I think I need a churro. So
first of all, that's a lesson. That's a good lesson.
He found out
a good lesson.
It was wonderful, man. It was a wonderful day. We took Muni to and from the game. We rode the train together. We had a great father-son day. It did come at a $300 price point. Thank you, Major League Baseball. But it was great. It was really, really fantastic. The two of us had a great time. Daddy had a few beers. He had a big bag of cotton candy, and it was great.
That's really what you need. And those experiences are special. And I'll only say this much. The only thing I have you beat on in regards to Levi at a game versus what you get to do at Jack right now is the idea that you and I went through Bonds hitting 73 in San Francisco and having that experience at the park where there's like an undeniable mood about what has to be seen while you're there, right? This is not about Rich Aurelia coming to bat, right? Like, we're here for Barry Bonds. That's what this is for. And in LA now, I can say that going to a game with Shohei Ohtani, I know that someone else has the moniker Godzilla, who won World Series MVP against the Phillies in 2009. Of course, Hideki Matsui, but this guy's Godzilla, Damon. I mean, this guy
is Godzilla.
Because Bruce Plus is Godzilla. That's what this guy is, man. I mean, there's just the Giants just don't have that right now, especially because for us, the bar will always be Bonds hitting 73, where every time the guy came to bat, he was either getting walked, hit on that amazing armor, or hitting a home run.
It was a great day at the yard. We'll talk more about it a little bit later, but we got to start with what the thumbnail says we're starting with.
That's it, please.
We want this algorithm to pop. So go ahead, by the way, like and subscribe if you would, please. Not just over here on the Plus, but the Thinking Out Loud with Siciliano and Sam over on their channel as well. And yes. Aaron Rodgers is officially back in our football lives. Now, you want to talk about guys who have been there from the day you launched and have supported the hell out of you. One of those guys here is our good friend, San Bruno Mike. San Bruno Mike has been living in the Bay Area his entire life, loves the Damon Bruce show from back in the radio days to now, and he's the best. He's dropping at $20 in the ganja jar. Always
That's awesome.
San Bruno Mike is a Steelers fan. Make no mistakes about it, where he lives. He's a Steelers fan, and he says, I feel like we're in the yard playing pickup, and nobody wants the last guy. That's what happened with Aaron Rodgers and the Stullers. Damn it. It's going to be a long season. You can swear on this. Fuck.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Thank you, San Bruno Mike, and I am going to thank you and tell you you're wrong.
Yep.
I think you should feel really good about Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers, if you're getting the tinfoil hat conspiracy anti-vaxxing douchebag Aaron Rodgers, that's going to help pull the season apart at its seams. But even at the age of 41, he is an upgrade over the room. Full stop. You cannot hate adding the guy who is instantly the best player at the position on the team. I would rather go to war at the middling value of Aaron Rodgers than with Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, or Skylar Thompson. So if you have the right to be concerned about who Aaron Rodgers is, where he is in his career, I could absolutely see him turning on Mike Tomlin and stabbing him in the back the minute it serves him the right way to do it, because that's who Aaron Rodgers is now. He's the best quarterback on the team. Full stop.
Full stop. Is this even, are we even having a debate? Here's the beauty of news, the way it happens, Damon. When this is a rumor, the opinion that you and I have, we can admit is a little different, right? I didn't love the don't wait for me version of Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers on the thumbnail in the Steelers jersey, that kind of that kind of tickles me a little down there. That kind of does a little something. I mean, there's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt that the night that the schedule came out, that Jim Nantz is telling everybody, Aaron Rodgers, please do the right thing and make this news happen with the Steelers, because the schedule just looks beautiful for the entire season, when Pittsburgh games now mean a little bit more because of what Rodgers brings to the table. And this is whether it's a disaster or whether it's amazing. I mean, they're in the AFC Championship game. It's a great story. And they're a dumpster fire, and it's a great story. So for you and I, we love it because you can't deny. I mean, week one.
Like week one matchup? Do you like that week one matchup, anybody?
Come on. Look at this. I mean, right there, it's staring you in the face with the Jets. And of course, week 8, Sunday Night Football, Damon. I mean, the fact that you've got Jets and Packers on this Steelers schedule, it simply had to be an AFC North team getting this.
My buddy Busey, I don't want to steal the line from him. He texted me last night, and he's like, bad news, everybody. These Pittsburgh Steelers have just been flexed to 17 primetime games.
It's so true, but it's so right. Wouldn't that be right though? Wouldn't that be great? Honestly, I would watch them. The first 8 weeks of the season. This is interesting, no matter what. And
here's the deal. This is what the Jets hoped to do, right? This is what the plan was. Bring in somebody to stabilize that QB room. And you could say that, here's the thing. Was Aaron Rodgers at the center of the Jets' unstabilization, or was it his injury and then everything that followed afterwards? He has his merits and demerits for sure. But this is what the Jets hope for. Competent quarterback play in front of a playoff-ready defense. That's what they're hoping for out of Aaron Rodgers. By the way, Pat Freiermuth's fantasy value just went through the roof because Aaron Rodgers loves tight ends in the red zone. So you've got that going on. He does come, as I said earlier, with Kruger on Wake Up today. He comes with more baggage than Terminal 2 at SFO. He really does. Lots of baggage there. But in one of those bags is a first ballot Hall of Fame resume.
And Damon, what about the idea that he's been humbled a little bit? Can we think of a version of Aaron Rodgers right now who might actually have the wherewithal to say, that wasn't perfect in New York. I don't think I loved that, the way that it went. And I was maybe pulling a lot of strings. Maybe Salah's gone because of me. Maybe there are players on this team and players that aren't on this team because of what I said, Devontae Adams. Maybe certain things happened and it didn't sniff the playoffs for us. Maybe I'm willing to let a Hall of Fame coach in Mike Tomlin, who's never had a losing record, tell me what to do at this stage of my career. Maybe I'm ready to listen. Wouldn't that be interesting?
A hat in hand, humbled, something to prove, Aaron Rodgers. And he's also going to be in a situation where they're not sticking every single media needle in you is humanly possible to get a reaction. I mean, you are, when you stand in front of a podium that says New York Jets on it, you have 30 beat writers just sharpening their knives with every single question that they ask you. Totally different situation in Pittsburgh. Now, the media will pile on you and be and hold you accountable, but it's football accountable. It's not trying to sell back page New York Post rumor and innuendo, and that's the difference. And I think Aaron's going to like that difference. And how about this? There probably wasn't a scenario to get one better last drop out of Rodgers than this outside of Minnesota. So it was one of two paths. One path closed down. It left him in this situation. I think the Steelers are a better team for having done it.
The Steelers are more interesting. Can we just let's at least just drop it down to that? Without question, this is more interesting. Are they better based on what they got from the quarterback last season? When you see what Fields and Russell Wilson gave this team last season, and when you look at the way the season ended, now if you're taking the back half of last season, Rodgers' back half of last season, you've said it multiple times, Damon, there's 8 games there from Aaron Rodgers at the end of the Jets season that if Pittsburgh had, their season would have ended a lot differently. Those games against the Ravens might have gone differently. And I'm talking the last two. They won the first one against the Ravens. Then they lost the rematch, the second game divisionally. And of course, the playoff game wasn't even close in the wild card round. So those games are where Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, the version that the Jets got to end the season was better than what Russell Wilson gave the Steelers at the end of that season. That's without question.
One of the dirty little secrets is how decent his final handful of games actually were.
The Jets thing will be seen as a disaster because, again, look, you and I know this. We're judging on playoffs. I mean, everybody is judged in this league based on whether you're getting to the playoffs or not. And for the Jets, no matter how bad you are, there are seasons. It's not like we can't close our eyes and picture the Jets in the AFC Championship game. We've seen that in our lifetime. We've seen Jets teams that are not just respectable but competitive and sniffing a Super Bowl. We've seen that, so it's not impossible to envision. And with Rodgers, it went in the opposite direction. I mean, technically, if you look at some of this, I mean, there are ways to show you that Zach Wilson got the Jets in a better spot than Rodgers did. I mean, you can skew the numbers that way, but
he's won more. Look at it this way: he won more games with the New York Jets,
which is terrifying. But for the Steelers, as you said, surrounded by what he has with a defense that's not going to be, this defense is not going to be embarrassing. This defense is TJ Watt. This is not, I mean, the Jets.
The Steelers defense will be one of the 5 best units in football this year.
As it is. That's like we chalk certain things up. Can we chalk this up? Mike Tomlin's going to be near 8-8. We like he's going to be near 8-8 in that when we get to the final game of the season, Tomlin's going to have a record that is near 8-8. And whether he's going above that or below that, well, guess what? He hasn't gone below that yet as a head coach. That's remarkable. So this team will be in the conversation, and with Rodgers in the conversation for all the right reasons.
Some rookie offensive linemen in Pittsburgh, a brutal division, the Steelers play in, but football remains more interesting with Aaron Rodgers in it. Sometimes that interest is for all the wrong and negative reasons.
And again, the first
it can just be about football again, maybe.
And the first comment that we had today, which we love that super, and we love seeing the $20, and that is a real Steelers fan. And I understand. Look, Damon, when we're talking about our teams, it's hard to ever say, oh, this team's going to the Super Bowl. We're just sort of trained to know that things aren't going to go well. And I think that's what I'm hearing from Steeler fans at this point. We just know this isn't going to end the way we want it to. From a Steeler standpoint, I think this is going to go well. From a Rodgers standpoint, I do want to present to you the one thing that Siciliano had said a while ago to me. What if Rodgers waited through all of this and the season started, and then he had one of 32 options in front of him instead of one? In other words, there are going to be 32 teams, some of which may fall out of love with the current quarterback that they have thinking is going to start week 1. They may be in position for playoffs and then get an injury, and Rodgers can come in as a savior as opposed to all of training camp, looking at the schedule with Rodgers there. What about a team that sort of established what they are this season, and then Rodgers gets to come in and keep them afloat? Wouldn't that be nice? I'd love that because there are more options for him than just the Steelers, and we all know this was just the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the fire extinguisher that no one's really expecting much from, just showed up, the pale rider on his white horse came into town and saved the entire town. There is an element to romance there, but I just think that's a recipe for bad football too. Like, you need football practice, especially with the new team, especially in a new situation. I mean, I look at this as, hey, it could go wrong in a lot of different ways. He and DK Metcalf could also really be fantastic together. We'll find out. We will find out. Again, Pat Freiermuth, fantasy. Pat Freiermuth's fantasy value just went through the Fryer roof. Do you see what I did there?
I do. By the way, I love that. And also, DK also becomes an interesting player here. DK is certainly somebody that right now we feel like that stock is rising, especially when you look at what Devontae Adams won fantasy leagues last season. With what he was doing in the prime playoff games from a fantasy standpoint, when we're talking about week 14, week 15, what Devontae Adams was doing with Rodgers in those games, that was special. And if he can create that with DK, and by the way, we have footage of DK and Rodgers working out in LA a month ago. So these guys have already been putting this in the shop and thinking about this for a little while.
Good
I love it. I love it. I mean, it looks good on the thumb, Damon. I think it's going to look good on the field. Rodgers with the Steelers. I mean, it actually feels bigger than when Favre went to the Vikings. All of a sudden, it puts the Steelers back in that conversation of, oh wow, this organization can be incredibly meaningful in this league. And then, of course, the irony we didn't even mention, the fact that Rodgers beat the Steelers for his Super Bowl. It's also kind of a fun little note there as well.
Outside of Russell Wilson, it's the first ever time a player who beat another team in a Super Bowl shows up for that other team.
That's great.
So there's another little interesting historical element attached to it. And the thing is, and maybe Sam Bruno's Mike's biggest worry, and this is right to be worried about, is this is no long-term solution. There is not a long career ahead of Aaron Rodgers in any way, shape, or form. But just looking at the vacuum of this 1 year, Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph? Aaron Rodgers or rookie never played before Will Howard? Skylar Thompson?
Come on, this is what are we talking about? And again, I didn't love "Don't Wait for Me," Rodgers. I didn't love that version. Right. "Don't Wait for Me," which felt like you're telling one of 32 franchises, like, I might have something better going on over here. But now that it's here and it's happened, and he says, "I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here for camp, and I'm ready to roll." I kind of love it. I do. I love it for what we get to watch. And I think the season's more interesting with Rodgers on a roster than not.
Right.
That's for certain.
Mark Graves is saying Aaron Rodgers in a blue collar city. Wow. Well, it's not like Green Bay is a metropolis of modern urban culture. So, this is him back in a city that, look, in New York, it's hard to keep it all about football.
Yes.
In Pittsburgh, they insist on it.
It is so right, Damon. It feels so right that this, I mean, first, what's really actually, when I went back and dissected this, the Steelers from a quarterback standpoint, there is Terry Bradshaw and there is Roethlisberger. There's a lot of seasons, and it's the most important position in all the sports, but nailing the quarterback in Pittsburgh, that doesn't always happen. That does not always happen. This has been an interesting ride at quarterback since Ben left. Obviously, and it'll be incredible. I don't think this is likely, but what if Fields leads the Jets to the playoffs? I mean, that's on the back burner. I mean, or frankly, if Russell Wilson leads if Russell Wilson leads the Giants to the playoffs, I mean, there are other interesting scenarios here where the Steelers are going to be, there's going to be a lot of I told you so, but right now I like where everyone landed. I do like where everyone landed.
Post Ben Roethlisberger, you've had Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Mitchell Trubisky. It hasn't been great.
It's been rough. I mean, frankly, you know what? Again, this speaks to Tomlin, right? You're talking about no losing seasons, and run through that roster one more time and just think in your mind, winning season, and now name these guys. Mason Rudolph.
Okay, so in 2021, Ben Roethlisberger started 16 games. Mason Rudolph started 1. In 2022, Ben is now out of the league, and it's Kenny Pickett starting 12 and Mitch Trubisky starting 5 games. In 2023, Kenny Pickett got 12, Mason Rudolph got 3, Mitch Trubisky got 2. Russell Wilson started 11 games after Justin Fields started the first 6 last year.
Not a losing season in any of that. We're talking Mason Rudolph, not a losing season. Hey, Kenny Pickett, not a losing season.
Defense wins championships, and defense will also get your ass to 8-8.
It'll carry you. And by the way, for all the Niners fans that love what we do here and love what Damon's been doing for years, it's a shame. It's a shame that the Steelers aren't the schedule this season. Nobody owns Aaron Rodgers quite like the Niners. Not a lot of teams get to just welcome Rodgers in as a W. And that is absolute Niners. It is just historically that has not gone well for him at all.
Look, speaking of an automatic W, like you don't even have to worry about it. When you're thinking about lunch today, check out Ike's sandwiches. I hope you live around one. Over 125 on 130 locations now. I got to get the latest update. I got to email somebody. But it is a growing sandwich empire with nothing but delicious waiting for you. And you're going to love his latest collaboration, Sam. His latest collaboration is with Jeremy Roenick.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Really?
Jeremy Roenick, hockey icon, longtime fan favorite. With this being the Stanley Cup season, Ike loves to bring in athlete-related seasonal type of sandwiches. And right now, let me just show it to you. Look at that. Look at that bad boy.
That is gorgeous.
I mean, that sandwich being the Jeremy Roenick means that it is impossible to stop on a wraparound goal on NHL 93.
Please go back and watch Swingers for anyone who hasn't.
By the way, so that Blackhawks team was insane. Sam, you had a score anytime you want to, Jeremy Roenick, and you could not get a puck past Eddie Belfour.
That was it. No. And again, remember Chelios is back there too. I mean, that was a special team. And I know we won't have a ton of time to talk hockey today, but the fact that Ike's has a Roenick sandwich, I spent time with Roenick, by the way. He did a lot of work at Fox Sports Radio back in the day, and he hung out with us, did a few shows where he went to a golf tournament with us. He ended up at Archie Manning's house at a tournament that we went to, like in a whole wild, ridiculous thing. But Roenick was with us even for when the Kings were on that first Stanley Cup run. Roenick's a tremendous person, and if you ever get 2 minutes in your life to hang around or near Roenick, it is unlike any other experience you will ever have. He is such a gem of a person.
And it sounds like a good sandwich, too. The Jeremy Roenick is turkey, halal chicken, bacon, red pesto, honey mustard, sriracha, real honey, and Gouda. It comes on Dutch Crunch. Put some dirty sauce in that bad boy, too. Get yourself a Jeremy Roenick from Ike's. And, oh, by the way, today is an grand opening event, Thursday. It was yesterday. Thursday. It already happened yesterday. A new location in Arizona. So all of our friends in Arizona, get yourself to Ike's. He's got multiple locations now in Arizona, and our good friends at the Dubliner West Portal. I had a great time bringing Jack to his very first baseball. No, it wasn't his first baseball game of the year.
Okay. That matters. That counts.
Here's what makes Jack OG San Franciscan for life. His first Giants game ever was Bruce Bochy's final game managing the San Francisco Giants. So that means he got a part of the chip. He got part of those championships. He really did, even though it went bad at the end.
That's anyway,
all right. I'm looking forward to the day where I bring Jack. Like the two of us, a few years, we're going to go to a bar. We're going to get a beer together. That's going to be an amazing moment in time. Maybe we'll start at the Dubliner, because I'll tell you, Muni picks you up, drops you off right out front. Jack loves Muni. I'm sure he will when he's 21 as well. Yeah, you love Muni. You love the Dubliner. You like a good Guinness. Get yourself there as quickly as you can. And now we need to talk about cookies.
Can we please?
Right up officially?
So Steta's now ready. So Steta's Hamantash, you can now find, again, type it into Google right now. I know there's a spelling. I sent it to you in the comments. You can get it up there, Damon. I'll spell it in the meantime. Steta, Steta. With an apostrophe S. I didn't, but and this is another one. I'll get to Safe Store. Leave it up. You can leave State, but yeah, but Stetas is there too.
I'm gonna go back.
Stetas Hamantash. This is a cookie. It is a beautiful, doughy, delicate shortbread with jam in the middle. It's either apricot, it could be chocolate, it could be boysenberry. It is raspberry. It is absolutely delicious. Get yourself a Stetas Hamantash. My Aunt Marlene. What a cookie this is. What an experience. What an amazing baker she is. Now, something else. Safe Store. You did see it up there. Safe Store is also any of your bulky, ridiculous storage needs in the world. Safe Store USA. These people, chain of custody, they store for law firms and for police and sheriff's departments, Damon. I'm talking if you have anything obscure and weird that you need, safe, secure, never anything to happen to it, this is the place to go. Safe Store USA. We're talking really unique. I mean, if you need a car stored for years, this is the place that will do it for you. Safe Store USA. Check them out, and the website's right there, safestoreusa.com.
Is it safe?
Guess what, Damon?
Is it safe? It's the marathon man. Is it safe? Laurence Olivier, just in the back of your teeth. Is it safe? Well, that's a tough scene. That's a tough scene. That's a tough. Look it up, kids. Movies in the 70s. shit was rough. Anyway, it is great to have you here. Like and subscribe to both channels if you would please. 49ers OTAs are wrapping up. There's an awful lot of just positive stuff coming out. This is a year where the 49ers, some people have been saying, that it's going to be a gap year for them. There's going to be, this year is kind of a throwaway year. I don't think so at all, and neither does Las Vegas. Right now, Brock is going off at 28-1 to win MVP. And the 49ers, as an organization, have the third best odds to reach the playoffs in the NFC. Far, far and away, the best worst to first odds in this sport. A 62.4% chance they make the postseason. ESPN giving them a 35.8. We'll just round that up to 36% chance to win the NFC West, which is the best in the West. Another really interesting thing, and I was talking about this with Kruger on Wake Up, and this fact N275 will get you on Muni. So it is worthless, but it also isn't. They finished 1-6. 6-11 season was terrible. They're one of the greatest 11-loss teams of all time. Their DVOA was the best ever by an 11-loss team going back to 1978. So did they have a bad year? Did it fall apart? Did they sort of quit on the season at the end? Yes, yes, and yes. While that was happening, they were still better than a lot of people wanted to give them credit for. They were still executing in a way which didn't make them have statistical numbers that accompanying a suck season. They were still pretty damn good. They just really petered out in the red zone, and they could not stop the run. And when you are bad at both of those things, you're kind of fucked to begin with.
They fit this statement better than any team I can remember in recent history in the NFL. Ooh, nobody wants to play the Niners. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. You could give them that credit, like, no, do you want to play the Niners? No, nobody wants to, but yet people were and beating them. But each week it still seemed like, but you don't want to face the Niners, though, because at any time they could show up and be that team capable of winning the NFC. They every week they were that scary where, oh, wow, are they going to turn it on? Are they going to look like they did in the snow in Buffalo? Or are they going to be the team that we know can charge into overtime against Mahomes and the Chiefs in a Super Bowl? It was all season wondering what was going to show up.
Everything that was negative around the team a year ago, as Mike Silver famously dubbed it, the bad vibe summer. It's the opposite right now. It's the opposite feeling around the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk popped his head out of nowhere and tried to sprinkle a little negativity on the situation. Didn't really take. No one gave a shit. And you can tell that the Team Ayuk, maybe not Brandon himself, but Team Ayuk immediately called Mayoko or whoever he's got the number 2. And then not even 3 hours after the Ayuk is kind of being a dickhead story comes out, you hear the, Brandon Ayuk is he's there in the facility every day. He's an off the field coach for these new young guys. So they immediately tried to do damage control. Somebody should just take IU's Instagram account away from him and just say, dude, just get healthy. Just play football again. Stop. You're not serving yourself, the team, your own brand, your own image well at all. Less is more. Rehab. It's got to be, here's the thing. You don't get the guaranteed $78 million to play football. That's the fun part. You get the guaranteed $78 million to rehab an injury, to go through your offseason workout program, to have all of the, I am pinioned under a playbook that I have to master. All that's the work. You are paid Monday through Saturday. Sundays are for free.
Brett Favre actually said if he could just come back and play the games, he would have played another decade. Favre, and of course, Favre did unretire and then basically play another decade. But Favre said he would have continued if it was about Sunday. He would have been there again and again and again. And who knows how he would have felt about Thursdays, et cetera. And
about getting a volleyball court built, he would have been there.
Yeah, that is for sure. So, Damon, I want you to go back to something you said. The best odds of any last place team to win their division is the 49ers.
Yep.
And it's not really even close when you go through and ask yourself division by division. If you look at each division, and remember the team that finished last, can you wrap yourself around a scenario where that team wins the division? Can you actually talk yourself in to the Panthers winning the NFC South? Can you actually talk yourself in to the Giants winning the NFC East?
No.
We can have a conversation about the Bears winning the NFC North, but the Lions are there. That feels incredibly uncertain at the moment. There are divisions where you could see random things happening, and maybe not the team that won it last season. But when you're talking last to first, which by the way happens more seasons than not in this league, a worst to first happens almost every season. Did you know that? And the Niners are really, if you've got money to spend, if you want to make a futures bet right now, and you can put good money before the season starts, before any more good news comes out of camp, we don't tell you to spend your money here much, but that feels like a nice bet to have. Niners NFC West champs feels like a nice ticket to hold right now.
How about this? Brock going off at 28-1 to win MVP. Let's just, based on the pursuit of line value, eliminate all the top guys. So Lamar's going off at plus 550, Allen going off at plus 600, Mahomes plus 650, Burrow 700. I don't like any of those odds. I'm playing for bigger stakes than that, so screw all those guys. Jaden Daniels plus 850. I don't know if I like it. I see a sophomore slump for a very good quarterback.
But I like the value. I like the value.
You do? Okay.
I like the value.
Jalen Hurts and Herbert going off at plus 2,000. Love and Stroud are both going off at plus 250. And then there's Brock at plus 2,800.
Well, of all the guys you said, who's been closest to it? My cousin 2 seasons ago had the Brock MVP ticket. And we're talking about a season where nobody was talking about that.
Right.
And into that Christmas game against the Ravens, the season doesn't end on Christmas, but had it, that ticket cashes. He is the MVP. Before that game starts, Brock is NFL MVP.
He also had Christian McCaffrey in his Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year award, siphoning some votes away from him, splitting the votes, and Lamar ended up carrying it. And Lamar had an incredible year that year. There's no denying him.
And it was sort of like a Heisman matchup between the two guys that were vying for it, and Lamar came out in that game and fared much better than Brock did on that day, and that really spelled it and sealed it. Brock sort of had the last laugh in the end because Brock's in the Super Bowl and Lamar was not, but that was a Super Bowl season. When you look at those numbers and you think about people that have been there, Brock Purdy's been there. Yeah. Brock, when you went through the tier of people that once that drops to 1,000, when those odds go to plus 1,000, not a lot of guys there that you can say, oh yeah, he was the MVP. Right. And Brock was.
And how about this? You got 2 guys who are at the top of this list who have only been to Super Bowls with tickets in hand. Lamar and Josh Allen, right?
Yes.
Then you got Mahomes plus 650. We know who he is. Burrow, he's been, but lost, just like Brock did. Jaden Daniels, never been.
Nope.
Jalen Hurts, we know.
Yeah.
Herbert, not close. Love, close, no cigar. Stroud, not yet. So it is interesting to see how that all unfolds out. How about this, Sammy? As a card-carrying Eagle fan, are you ready for Saquon's Week 3 Achilles tear?
So,
welcome to cover Madden, buddy.
So is this still a thing? I think there's still talk of the curse, and there are many, and Sean Alexander doesn't want to remember that, and there are many more. I think Eddie George also suffered this fate. The Madden cover has led to seasons that are less spectacular than what the cover is suggesting, but I'm going to put that aside right now, and I'm not to even imagine that is just so catastrophically devastating for what I want to happen this season that I don't want to go there. The Madden cover, I will say, first of all, Saquon, the season that he had, I will argue this until I'm green in the face, let's say, but the greatest season any running back has ever had in this league is Saquon Barkley 2024.
It's pretty damn good.
I just don't know.
As good, not really many better. It was an unbelievable year. It's one of the 10 great football seasons we will ever see in our lives, period.
And I think from a running back standpoint, I really want, in the chat, please tell me in this chat who had a better season as a running back than Saquon Barkley 2024 when you consider the playoffs as well. We're talking about winning a Super Bowl. That doesn't have to necessarily set the criteria, but it's certainly part of the argument. This is his first year with a new team. He challenges Dickerson's record and sits out week 18 to rest so that he is healthy for the playoffs, in which he then sets the record for the most yardage by a running back in a season, including playoffs. EVER, ever.
And that's why I'm worried about this year, not the cover of Madden.
Yes.
That's the wear and tear that I'm worried about.
That's fine. Okay, do me a favor. Put the cover. I have it there for us that we can take a look at the cover of Madden. And I want to point something out to everybody.
The leapfrog play?
So
the backwards leapfrog?
What I love about this is Saquon, this play. In other words, what if this was, again, what if this was J.K. Dobbins that made this spectacular play last season? I love that Madden, and now it happens to be that it's also from the guy that rushed for the most yards in the history of the game, but I would like for Madden moving forward to allow for an iconic moment, even if the player is not necessarily rushing for a title that season, or it doesn't have a record-setting season. I think images in our mind could, in other words, Tyree, let's say, that's obviously that's a Super Bowl, not a regular season moment, but David Tyree was never going to be the greatest wide receiver anywhere in this league, right? But yet he has an iconic moment. I love that the backwards hurdle is, but Damon, I want to show you something in regards to this. Do you see the angle that we're looking at Saquon here, and sort of the distance over which he is clearing this Jaguars player?
Yes.
I just want to let everybody know. I love that they chose this moment. I'm going to ask you, Damon, and everyone in the chat, do we like that this was manufactured and not actually taken from the game? If you go to Twitter, Saquon posted it, and so did EA Sports. They brought Saquon into a green screen studio, and they put basically an actor in a Jaguars uniform, and Saquon backwards hurdled. He recreated the play for this photo. Here is what actually happened on the field. And here it is again. Okay, that's what actually happened. And here is what we did for the photo. Now, I love it because the photo looks crisp and beautiful, but do we like that it was not what actually happened in the game, and it was now taken into a studio and sort of AI generated in a way?
The Eagles fans only care about it question. I couldn't give a flying fuck where they got that photo from. No. Here's the thing: you got to airbrush them titties to make them look good. Do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's best image you got.
That is beautiful. Well, look, they did an amazing job. And by the way, for those that care at all, if you see him recreated, it is amazing to see that, that he's actually able to do it again. It's like, hey, take the most amazing thing that we ever saw in the league and do it again. I
would sprain my entire groin if I even got into that position for a minute.
And Damon, I sent you.
Groin did you hurt? The whole thing.
By the way,
speaking of the whole thing, Rob C-Note has aggressively entered the chat.
Wow.
Rob C-Note just coming in huge. He says, is there an Ike's still in Arizona? My sis is on East Highland, like 2.5 miles away. Here, let me show you, Rob.
Let's get the map. Get the map.
I got a map, but I got this. Is this close enough? This is East Baseline Road in Phoenix, Arizona. So hopefully that is somewhere, you got East Highland. Is East Baseline somewhere near there? I hope. It sounds Eastern. Rob, get yourself a sandwich. I hope your sister gets a sandwich. And thank you for being so generous. It will allow me to buy a sandwich a little bit later on, in my life. So thank you very, very much. And let me go ahead and get this down now. Hold on. Boom.
It's all right. But that was excellent
Rob,
product placement.
As always.
Rob, thank you for that. We appreciate it. We appreciate it at Bruce Plus. We appreciate it at Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. For Andrew and I, we dropped an emergency pod yesterday for Aaron Rodgers, of course, and Andrew's been waiting. It's funny, Damon, Andrew, you and me and Andrew did an emergency night of free agency podcast talking about all the moves that happened, right? We did it. It was awesome.
Didn't you just fill in for Eisen?
Yeah, he did. He did. Andrew filled in this week for Eisen, and he did a great job. He loves that, and he fills in for Rome and Eisen a ton. But the night that you, Andrew, and I did that show, we were asking ourselves, all right, this will be great. We'll do this podcast about the free agents, but Rodgers is gonna, once Rodgers signs in the next 2 days, it's kind of it's gonna blow up everything we just talked about because the whole free agency market's gonna change. It took a month and a half after that for it to actually come through with Rodgers, which is amazing. And only one other thing I want to say about Saquon, Damon, and I want your opinion on this. There's an article at CBS Sports. You and I like to borrow a lot from CBS Sports. We've got good friends over there. There's an article out there asking if Saquon Barkley is a Hall of Famer. That early retirement, he was asked, I'm sure he didn't just get to the podium and talk about it. He was asked about retiring potentially. after this season. And the question was, if Barkley retired now, would he be a Hall of Famer? I hate to be the guy that's just the Eagles fan on this, but is there any part of you that thinks he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer?
Well, he's certainly tracking. You know,
but if it ended, I think if it ended yesterday, he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, look at it this way: if Terrell Owens if Terrell Davis,
yes,
can be a Hall of Famer with his limited games and seasons, but heavy impact, I would say that Saquon Barkley is on the way. You know, when you break a tape with one of the greatest seasons in the history of a Super Bowl, winning a Super Bowl in your first year, where there is absolutely no doubt that the straw that stirred the drink all year long was you, when your highlight package includes a selection of 60-yard touchdowns that you'd like to choose from.
Or against one team.
I mean, I want more. I mean, Saquon Barkley has not been in the league that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years is what he's played. 7 years. He hasn't gotten to 10,000 yards yet. He's at 7,200 yards in his career. He hasn't eclipsed 50 rushing touchdowns yet. But he's a special player.
Doesn't even.
He's a special player, and not that it matters, but I do think you then harken back to what he did in college, and he was unstoppable at Penn State. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. How about this? I'm not worried. I'm not worried about him.
I just want to make the point that if it ended today, he's a Hall of Famer. And I'll say also this: that there's a clip on my Instagram page and on my Twitter account. There's a clip. I'm saying without question, Saquon is the greatest Eagle of all time based on what he did in one season. He said he.
I mean, Reggie White played for this team.
Guess what? But in his first season as an Eagle, he rushed for more yards than any Eagle ever, with more rushing touchdowns than any Eagle ever. He has the record for yards in a game. He has the most spectacular play by any Eagle, maybe any player ever, that we just talked about on John Madden.
But in the vacuum of his no one in the all-time NFL draft is taking Saquon Barkley number 1 overall at running back, where Reggie White might go number 1 overall when you start drafting your defensive line.
And Reggie White also, and here's what I would knock against Reggie in this argument, I think Reggie also has the context of being a Packer, which would overshadow what he did in Philadelphia, whereas Saquon, no one is claiming, but that's what he did with the Giants. No, once he won the Super Bowl in that first season with the Eagles, that ended it. So I just want to end the debate. Saquon Barkley is there is a yellow jacket waiting for Saquon Barkley as of this moment. That's all I wanted to say.
Greatest Eagle of all time. Are we just going to pretend that Vi Sikahema didn't happen?
Let me tell you something. I'm ready to go there, and anyone who wants to send me grainy footage here, please do. But Saquon Barkley, in one season, he became the greatest Eagle of all time. You're gonna have to put together a resume, and I don't think it's even worth looking at any others.
All I can tell you is that in one season of impact, I was ready to say that Christian McCaffrey is the greatest running back in the history of the 49ers right now. Like, with all due respect to Joe the Jet Perry and Frank Gore and, some really good running backs in their moment that Roger Craig, God bless him. Christian McCaffrey became one of the 10 greatest 49ers of all time in fewer than 20 games in the uniform. And that is among the hardest all-time top 10 NFL lists to crack. It really is, because the Niners arguably have the single greatest safety / corner in Ronnie Lott of all time. They have the single greatest quarterback in Joe of all time, with the indisputable single greatest wide receiver of all time. So 3 of the top 10 positions are permanently held, which means have 7 slots to crack. Yes. That's it. Christian McCaffrey is in there.
I'm with you on that. And it's hard sometimes when a player comes from somewhere else for us to see that, but it's without question what McCaffrey has done with Shanahan. That and what the way he elevated this team and this offense. And I also think you and I haven't discussed it enough. The most important player heading into next season, we've spent so much time on Brock and the contract. It's Christian McCaffrey. The most important player this season for the Niners is Christian McCaffrey, because that will be the difference. That will be the difference between what we saw last season and this season, is Christian McCaffrey making those contributions once again.
He's the skeleton key that unlocks the entire offense. So there is no doubt that a Christian McCaffrey, here's what the Niners, you want to talk about. Okay, so the list of things that the Niners have going for them. Hopefully a healthy veteran core in Trent Williams, Bosa, and George Kittle all year long. They got rid of slow, ineffective wide receivers, have hopefully replaced them with faster. Christian McCaffrey re-entering the chat changes everything. There's no way to be worse than 32nd on special teams. They will improve on special teams alone, which I think is a 1.5 to 2 game difference in wins and losses. And outside of Ben Johnson replacing Matt Eberflus, I don't think that there is a bigger coaching upgrade to be found in the NFL than Robert Saleh over Nick Sorensen. Not that Nick Sorensen might not be a good coach someday, but in his 1 year with the Niners, that defense regressed savagely, and there was constant miscommunication in the secondary. The team lost its way as a run defense, and Nick Sorensen might be the single worst one-season position coach the 49ers have ever had. That's how bad it was. And now they replace him with Robert Saleh, who is, again, outside of Ben Johnson upgrading Chicago's head coaching situation. I don't know if there's another bigger upgrade than Robert Saleh for Nick Sorensen. That's got to be worth 2 wins right there. They were a 6-win team last year. I found 2 wins in coaching upgrades alone. So now you're at 10 wins. And this is before we talk about, well, did Brock have a big year? Did Christian McCaffrey have a big year? Did this rebuilt young defensive line gel quickly and all figure it out? Like, I think a very good 49er season is about to be downloaded into the NFL.
And for those that haven't seen the video of Trent Williams pancaking players,
right,
at the OTA, that was fantastic.
Right.
And
boom,
just there you were, and now you're gone. The Saleh thing's also interesting. We didn't talk about Bryce Huff. Where do you stand on Bryce Huff with what happened, considering what he had done with Saleh, with the Jets? That one season in Philly it'll largely be forgotten. It's sort of a blip on the radar in between. He's not going to forget it because his bank account will forever be changed in a positive way. But Huff with Bosa, with Saleh, you got to love what's coming together now defensively. And I think that Huff thing, again, Jed York tweeted it out the night of the draft. Yes, Robert Saleh is back in the building. And his stamp is now all over what is happening. And you've nailed it, and I'm glad you prefaced it with the Ben Johnson thing, because yes, that's quite an upgrade there as well. But yeah, Saleh with the Niners, don't forget what he had done in the past year.
I love when long odds become, what's the opposite of insurmountable? Surmountable?
Sure, surmounted.
Surmounted the odds.
Surmounted.
There's got to be a better word, but we're going to go with that. How about what we're watching unfold in the NBA Finals after just one game? And I'm going to tell you, I said Thunder in 5. They're going to have to now win 4 in a row for that to be correct. I think the Thunder are an awesome basketball team that has been disrespected in real time, but the real disrespect has to be the way that we just continue to dismiss the Pacers time and time again. I saw this because, being a former guy who lived in Indiana, I have friends who I've never liked the Pacers. I've never rooted for the Pacers, but a lot of guys who write and talk about Indiana basketball are Pacers. So I get a lot of Pacers bullshit on my timeline, whether I want it or not. How about this, though? The Pacers now have a win in every single round of this NBA playoffs where they have overcome these probabilities to win a game. 0.3%, 2.1%, 4.1%, 2.6%. the odds of any one team overcoming all of those percentage points 4 times in the same postseason is 1 in 1.5 million.
Is that good?
So I am done talking about what Tyrese Halliburton is not about to do, because this guy is literally making more memories in 4 weeks than most guys do in 4 years of playing basketball. It's been insane, the heater that this guy's on right now.
Did you see Shaq's reaction when the shot fell with 0.3 seconds to go? I mean, he was just like jaw on the ground. I mean, Shaq's not overly impressed with much that happens on a basketball court.
Right.
And he was stunned.
I was not familiar with your game.
He was stunned. That is beautiful, Dave. But Halliburton, the conversation was coming in whether or not he's a superstar, right? But it was really Stephen A. was asked about Brunson and Halliburton being superstars, and you and I said it. It's the most wide open Final Four in the NBA in 2 decades, and I think that's clear, and we're seeing it now, of course, even more as the NBA Finals unfolds here. But Halliburton was a superstar as soon as he beat the Knicks. He was a superstar because getting to the NBA Finals, I'm sorry, he's here against the MVP. He is absolutely, and many will remember this. Siakam's there, of course, but we're going to remember this as Halliburton's team. I don't think there's any question that this will be remembered as Halliburton's run and Halliburton's team here. He is forever a superstar for what he has done here. Forever. These games are the ones that we write about, that we etch in stone, and he has done it and done it again and again. I will also say this much about the win percentages. It might say something about reconstructing that algorithm also in regards to what a win percentage is in the NBA. Because the NBA, the way runs can work in the NBA, I don't know that the percentages are really working out if it's happened 4 times. I mean, 4 is just a little too much to say that it cannot happen. Was that game last night, game 1, more ridiculous in regards to comebacks than what they did to the Knicks in 48 seconds? I think that,
because how many turnovers did the Pacers have last night? Like 700?
Oh, it was they set a record for most turnovers in the first half in franchise history.
It was insane how sloppy they were with the ball and how in control of that. It was the Thunder by 10 or 15 all game long. It was one of those. So again, there's nothing worse than a 12-point NBA game.
Yeah.
Because it's you're really not right in it, yet it's not so far away where you feel comfortable turning it off because anything could happen. You're 4 trips down the floor, 4 made threes in a row, and we're right back at it. But I'm literally, because Jillian's out of town, I am putting the kids to bed. And I'm not even worried that I'm missing the 4th quarter of an NBA Finals game, because it looked in the barn. And when I walk back in the room after tucking both boys in, I'm watching that. I look at what's unfolding. I look at the situation. I'm like, what happened? How did
How?
And that's the thing. It's not even that the Thunder really
let the
rope as
they
much
didn't gag
as
it.
the Pacers started hitting shots.
That's really what it comes down to. And so much of this league is that. And as a Warriors fan, you can appreciate that, because the made shot, what the Warriors have done to shooting percentage, we will never see that ever again. Now you know how that can play a difference. And of course, what happened with Naismith and the game against the Knicks, you're never going to see that again. I mean, from a player like that to hit back-to-back threes the way that he did to make that a game. And then what we saw last night
downtown in that game,
that's ridiculous. And look, Toppin also was he was 5 for 5 from 3 at one point. I mean, Toppin was unbelievable shooting the ball as well.
No stopping. Toppin.
So I love that. You said OKC in 5. So I have 2 stories about this. Number 1, did you know that Jay-Z has the same bet that you do, but you probably laid a little less on it? Jay-Z's got $1 million bet on OKC in 5. Math still works in your favor, Jay-Z. Still, you needed the Pacers to win 1, so that's on the board, right? I mean, if it's a parlay, you needed Indiana with 1. They've got it.
You're predicting gentleman sweep.
Still on the board.
You're still on track.
This is Iverson beating the Lakers in 2001. You got 4 straight going for the Lakers. This is still very much in play, so it can happen. The number 2 thing about this, which was just so special, is that the odds in the series, OKC minus 700, I thought was outrageous. I remember 2004, Damon. I think the most, and by the way, it's odds overcome, right? When you're talking insurmountable, it's overcoming the odds, right? That's probably the term we were looking for. Overcoming the odds. I remember 2004, Lakers Pistons was Lakers minus 650. The Lakers had come off of beating the Pacers in the finals and beating the Sixers in the finals, and now they had the Pistons there. They were 3 years in a row, and this was the Gary Payton Lakers, the Karl Malone Lakers as well.
Yes.
The Pistons, it was minus 650, the Lakers in that series. And I remember the Pistons won game one. And I actually laid at this time in my life, I definitely didn't have $650 to lay in my life. And I just thought, how am I going to let the Lakers three-peat? I'm sitting here in LA. I'm not going to win $100 on it.
I remember this, and they got swept.
They won game two. The Lakers won game two. That was it.
Okay.
And when they won game two, Damon, the emotion that went through my body, it was. We are both real fans, so we don't need money on it to feel emotional about a game. I can only tell you that the bizarre feeling that went through me when I thought the Lakers, okay, Kobe's fixed everything. The Lakers are going to win this series. It's fine. My money is safe. That was such a euphoric, incredible feeling. And then the Pistons won the next three games, and that was it. And they were gone. Minus 650, poof. And I just thought OKC wasn't, for a Lakers team going for a three-peat, I can understand odds that are that high. OKC, like it's just too young. There's not enough there behind it that I thought OKC belonged is a minus 700 in the series, considering what the Pacers have done, overcoming the odds to this point, as you mentioned.
This is where I keep on saying that this Thunder team is about as stacked a 68-win team that you never heard about in your life. I mean, they won 68 games. That is nothing to sneeze at.
But here it is. I just didn't think that there was any team you could put in front of them that it had to be that they're going to run through. Why are they going to run through anybody? I just didn't see OKC as a team that's just going to put to bed anyone who shows up in the finals. So I thought that was, it's not really disrespect. A lot of things affect the odds, but I just thought minus 700 seemed outrageous. And now we're all feeling that it definitely is, obviously, in an 0-1 hole.
It was an absolute awesome day at the yard with Jack yesterday. I want to thank Rob C again for him generously tucking $100 into the ganja jar, because I mean, we spent half of that the minute we walked in. So 2 hot dogs, French fries, a beer for Dad, and a bottle of water for Jack. You're north of $50. 2 minutes is walking into the ballpark. Yeah,
instantly.
So you're north. Isn't that small French fries, 2 corn dogs, a beer, and a water, more than $50. Come on. Let's not make everything in here cost prohibitive. The least expensive item of the day was a $9 churro.
Worth it at Disneyland and very few other places. Very few others.
Yeah. How much better would the game be if you could bring your kids to the game without needing $1,000 just because somebody wants some cotton candy and a t-shirt? Like it is insane.
But I'm glad you went.
Beyond that, what a truly wonderful day. Jack on Muni as he's learning. I'm like, dude, this is literally going to unlock your life in San Francisco before you're old enough to drive. Like this is going to, and whether or not you even learn how to drive in the world that we're now living in is something I guess we'll debate. But yes, my children will learn how to drive. Unbelievable, beautiful afternoon. Everything you'd want out of fatherhood with your child. Beautiful day at the yard. Sun-draped afternoon. He's got most of his kindergarten class in the bleachers with him. It was wonderful. It was truly, truly wonderful. And even as I complain about the price point, I'll tell you, it was freaking worth it. It really, really was.
Dan, I'm so glad that you had that. I love the photo that you posted online as well. All of that was really just a gorgeous moment, and it just reminds you why baseball is still special and will always be special. I know Manfred's looking at automated balls and strikes. We'll get into that another time. I heard someone talking about the Ghost Runner, by the way, and quickly I wanted to get your thought on this. Tim Kirkchin, there's a great piece. There's a clip out there of him talking about why the Ghost Runner upsets him and bothers him. I'm a huge fan of the Ghost Runner in extra innings in baseball. He talked about, and I would love to hear you on this, and I don't know how deep you're going to go down this rabbit hole. I love it because I just think the intensity of what happens immediately in the game changing is outstanding. And
The only merit to the Ghost Runner is I will admit that there is nothing more likely to make me put a baseball game on than knowing, all right, it's an extras and this thing could wrap up quickly.
Done. It's done.
However, we don't need it. We don't need it. And now that games, I thought I was going to hate the pitch clock. I really like it. I love how it has sped up games. It hasn't really sped up the game as much as it's prevented it from screeching to a halt.
Yes.
And because of that, because every game is now coming in, Sammy, where did Sammy just go? Because every single game is coming in, under 3 hours. There is no need to have a Cliff Notes version of the game once you get to extra innings. Like, that drives me nuts. So I would like, now that the game has been sped up, to think that we don't need to get through extra innings as fast as humanly possible anymore. So that's what I would like.
Look,
Sammy's back.
I apologize. I respect your take, even though I did jump out, but I know how you're feeling about this. You didn't feel the games were taking too long. There's how many games were going, 18 and 19 innings to upset the apple cart enough to make this worthwhile.
Anytime I bought a baseball ticket, the last thing I wanted to do was for this game to wrap up as fast as possible. It felt like game time. Speed of game, duration of game was really only an issue for on-schedule beat writers and networks who wanted to cut away to the next program.
Here's what I like about it. And you and I are just going to agree to disagree right now. And then I can't wait. Now, what's beautiful about us saying this today is that we're going to get a reprehensible, ridiculous walk-off game from the Ghost Runner that we hate. There's going to be a meaningful game that ends on a sacrifice fly in the play, in the regular season that's going to determine a division winner, and we're going to hate it. But for now, I'm going to represent the part which I love, which is simply this. The idea that a team can hit a single in the top of the 10th and take the lead, and the home team still comes to bat with a chance to hit a walk-off home run is cool. That's because what the Ghost Runner represents is 2 runs. So I like that. It doesn't just represent 1 run. It immediately means 2 runs are at the plate, especially when we know every player is swinging for a strikeout or a home run. I just love that nothing seems out of hand or insurmountable at that point, because you know that the home team is going to bat with that runner on as well. So I like that. Usually I don't like gimmicks, and I want to give baseball credit for changing when otherwise over the years baseball has taken so long to do anything. And along those lines, I also just want to say, before we get to this date in history, which I know is coming, I want to credit the NHL for something. I think 3-on-3 overtime hockey in the regular season is amazing. I think if you put no clock on it, every game would end in 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I understand that in 5 minutes, then we go to a shootout, and then we can have ties. And Americans want wins and losses in the columns. NHL, if you want your one issue for Americans, wins and losses. Just make that overtime. Just put no clock on overtime for 3-on-3. Every game will end in 7 or 8 minutes. That's it. They're all going to, it's so quick. But I love that in the playoffs, it's not 3-on-3. It's regulation. It's 5-on-5. Yeah. And what you and I saw in game 1 of the Stanley Cup final, I just want to give credit to what a moment for the Oilers, for a beautiful tic-tac-toe Hall of Fame goal from Corey Perry to Connor McDavid to Leon Draisaitl. What an iconic Stanley Cup moment that was for a player who we will one day say is the only argument we have against Wayne Gretzky being the greatest ever. It's going to be another guy who plays for the Oilers in Connor McDavid.
I thought, and you and I were texting during the game, and I hate when a great hockey game ends on a soft goal. I hate that. And I thought, oh man, this is going to end on a dribbler. No, it was awesome. It was awesome. That was a fantastic moment for hockey. Anyone who was complaining about the matchup not being sexy enough, man, the hockey in that game was so good. It was just balls to the wall hockey. It was great. It was really, really good. And again, if you're complaining about market size and that's why you're not watching the NBA Finals, you don't get it. Like you don't. You're part of the problem. We're trying to look for people who want to be part of the solution. Speaking of part of the problem, though, Sammy, I wanted to talk about this awesome day that I had with the Giants and going and being there with my kid and relating to how robbed A's fans in Oakland were of that by the move and the generational robbery that was committed of children and mothers and fathers and parents and children and grandparents, and the generational connection that baseball gives us has now been forever destroyed by John Fisher's greed and ineptitude. And our good friends at the Last Dive Bar tweeted something out today that I think officially deserves a moment of recognition on this show. To let you, to prove how wrong everything that the A's are doing truly is, today is the 500th day of silence in terms of being able to respond to their social media posts. The A's, I believe, are truly the only team, not just in America, but maybe globally, that has turned off replying to their social media posts. They know that that's how bad it will go for 500 days. In the modern 2025 world that we live in, you cannot reply to the A's in their social media posts. Last Dive Bar says, today marks 500 days since the A's made the decision to shut off comments on all social media platforms. They've failed a fan base, refused to embrace a new one. They've made a mockery of a once storied franchise. What an embarrassment of an organization. And apparently, there is no level of this doesn't look right, feel right, smell right, play right. And what are they now? One in their last 20? I mean, what? Tell me why John Fisher is allowed to exist in the universe of a sports owner. I don't get why they have not run this fuck out of the clique. Just go get another billionaire. Get rid of him. Literally plant a fake story. Have him sexually molest somebody. Just get him out of the room. Get rid of him. He's not good for anybody, most especially the A's as an organization. When the number one reason why you are guaranteed to arrive dead on arrival is your owner, replace the owner. Jerry fucking Reinsdorf is exiting stage left. If that can happen, John Fisher can go.
I spoke to you about one of the saddest moments I've had in the Bay Area, and it happened very recently. Driving to the Oakland airport, which used to be such an incredible experience. If you're coming from San Francisco and you're going to the Oakland airport, which is the only way to travel out of the Bay Area, by the way. Oakland airport is a beautiful, easy situation, and everyone should do that. But when you're making that drive, you look to your left and you see a parking lot, and you see two buildings that now have no teams playing in them. We're talking that parking lot used to be Raiders, A's, Warriors, party before the game, party after the win, fireworks on Friday night. And the ghost town that is now in that parking lot is terrifying to drive by. To think that nothing is happening in that parking lot is, you said it, it's reprehensible, and I cannot believe it. I also want to know what conversation happened in the offseason in Major League Baseball just a few months ago that it was allowed, that the A's said to Major League Baseball, we don't want to be designated by a city. We want to officially be known as ATH Athletics. We don't want to be OAK. We don't want to be LV. We don't want to be SAC.
This isn't Utah Hockey Club where like we want to pick our mascot, but we're going to shun the city that we're playing in until we do it. No, this is we're shunning all locations. We got geotagging turned off. That's what a vagabond bullshit fly by night organization we really are.
And who the A's should really be thanking is the Colorado Rockies, because save for what's happening in Colorado, this would be the greatest catastrophe happening in Major League Baseball.
Hold on.
We get a guest appearance. Let's go.
What's going on? Your name was in the game? Come on.
Wait, what?
Let's. That says Jack, and the other word is tough. He's playing a little.
Yes.
Look at our guy here,
Jack.
Jammies.
That is so good. It's a jammy day. By the way, yeah, Levi calls it Jama's Day. This is a jammy day for sure, Jack. And I don't know if
We call it a Hugh Hefner day.
This is a Hefner day. I hope if Jack can't hear me, I kind of want to ask him, and you can ask for me, Damon, if not. But Jack, what was it like yesterday? I mean, what was your favorite part of being at the Giants game yesterday, which you were? Well, I mean, you were obviously there with Daddy, but what was the best part? Was it the churro?
Was it your favorite? What was the cotton candy?
Cotton candy.
Yes. The only answer, really the only answer. I mean, it is the key to his heart was not necessarily the game itself, but what are the snacks? Just like Levi wants to know, what are we eating? That's it. Like, what are we eating when we get there?
It's all that mattered. It's all that mattered. That's all that mattered. By the way, he just got so excited he saw his name in a video game. He had to come show me that.
So what that happened, was he like on top score? What happened?
No. Like you're building your own character, and
sure.
Guess a name, and he's like, "Oh, I can pick my own name." So he's very, very excited about that.
Can't wait to see that.
Also, probably means that the bowl of Cheerios that I left for him is, he's out. So I gotta go I gotta go get that.
Let's do it.
Which means it's time for a little today in history. Thank you very much, young man, for speeding the show along. First of all, happy birthdays are in order. Happy birthday to one of my favorite actors, Paul Giamatti, who's 58 years old today. Love that guy. And
by the way, for those that don't know, in regards to Pete Rose, who was in the news recently, go and look for the connection between Paul Giamatti and I think it's his father, not his grandfather. Bart Giamatti is
yes. Related.
No, it's real. This is please go down a rabbit hole and look at the connection with Paul Giamatti and Major League Baseball commissioner.
Today is Jason Isaac's 62nd birthday. I didn't know who Jason Isaac was. I recognized the guy, but I could not have named him until he spent this last year as the dad from Duke on White Lotus.
That's cool.
Who showed you his schmecky came out in like the 4th episode.
I think
it was a prosthetic. If it wasn't, congratulations to Jason Isaacs.
Congratulations for sure. That is what a beautiful moment that.
Flashing the whole family. Happy birthday to Harvey Fierstein. Used to be I believe, #1 ranked gay in America. There was Harvey Fierstein, and his voice is his incredible voice, which has been mocked and everything. And I remember John Lovitz doing a Harvey Fierstein impression called "Plug Away" with Harvey Fierstein. Come and plug whatever product. Plug away with Harvey Fierstein. 71 years old. Happy birthday to Harvey Fierstein, stage actor, Tony Award winner. Happy birthday, Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger, is 78 years old today.
Still nightmares for me. That movie changed my life. Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, changed my life. There is fear. Horror movies can be, just interesting. You can see things that you'll never unsee. But I mean, the sounds and the experience of knowing that you could fall asleep and still not be safe, that was incredible. That changed going to bed forever.
One thing you can't avoid doing, like the whole point of Jaws being not scary is don't go in the water. All your problems are solved.
Done.
Everyone has to fall asleep. That's what made Nightmare on Elm Street. And the damn glove just across the metal railing.
The metal.
Yeah.
Oh, do yourself a favor, please.
Goes, cute kid. Thank you very much, Cynthia.
Oh, yes.
On there. I'll tell you what, we could have a cute kid off because Levi is freaking adorable too.
We got somehow we did that right, Damon.
We did.
We have adorable children. We have adorable, like, California iconic children, which is amazing.
We do. Yeah, seriously. This kid's name might as well be Hang 10. Ozzy? Ozzy looks like California was a person. By the way, Rob C says, did you see the origin of the Oakland Ballers Scrappy the Possum? Did they have have adopted the possum as a game? Because that's the thing. There was a possum that, of course, adopted the A's as a tenant. Let's see.
That's great, Rob.
Let's see. What do we got? Smiley Dan is right. Hold on. Oops. Sorry. Here we go. Harvey was #1. Now it's Andy Cohen, the highest ranking of all the gays.
The new rankings are out. I think ESPN could do a show around that, right? We could do that. The CFP rankings every week, followed by this.
For a minute there, it was Abby Wambach, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Let's see what else we got going on here. But that is hysterical that the A's are going, or the Ballers are going with a possum. That's great. That's great. Okay, so where else are we? Okay, we're through our happy birthdays. Today in 1884, George Williams originated the first ever, speaking of gay, YMCA.
Oh, wow.
The first ever YMCA opened in London today in 1884. Happy birthday to the YMCA. Happy birthday to the Loop in Chicago. Well, the L train. The Loop train, as it was known, that's where the L comes from. It's L for loop, not L for elevated, as a lot of people think it is. But there you go. Chicago's Loop and its mass transit system, which is one of the best in all of America, opened today in 1882. Again, BART is nice, but it brings you up one street. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got going on here. In 1925, the Chrysler Corporation. Happy birthday, Chrysler. Walter P. Chrysler nominated himself as president of the Chrysler Corporation, which makes a lot of sense there. But ever drive a Chrysler? Any Chrysler in the family?
The Chrysler New Yorker. I went to school. I got picked up on 2 blocks from my house with a Chrysler New Yorker for many years of junior high school. That my friend Nate Zeke, his family had this car, and I absolutely was in the car. And the car used to talk to you. You know, before every car talked to you, that car the door is ajar, and we used to joke, no, it's not. It's a door. But the Chrysler New Yorker, yes. And so shout out to Lee Iacocca, I suppose, as well.
Absolutely. Nice job, Lee. Let's see. Today I've always been interested in the first guy to do that. Like, who's the first dude ever to look at a lobster and go, I'm going to try to eat that fucking thing.
Eat that. Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to try to eat that. How would you like to be the first guy ever to jump out of an airplane with a nylon parachute? The first ever nylon parachute jump, what were they using before that? I don't know. Were they jumping out of planes before 1942? Was made by Adeline Gray in Hartford, Connecticut. First ever nylon parachute jump. And I guess they would really learn how to do that because today, in 1944, the single greatest offensive in the history of modern warfare was put on. Dwight Eisenhower, the Allied Armada, landed today at several beaches in France. The invasion, D-Day, World War II, today in 1944. We couldn't find 30 millennials to get on a boat today. They were volunteering for that shit.
Okay. Do you think there's anyone who's listening to us and watching us right now who hasn't seen the first 6 minutes of Saving Private Ryan? Because we talked about movies that have, changed our lives, and you talk about volunteering for something. That movie, another movie that changed my life. I walked into that theater just a little late. I didn't even see the opening scene. The first time I saw that movie, I didn't see the opening scene where they visit the gravesite. I just saw the first dude opening the door to that first gate. And of course he gets, and he just gets, that's through the head. He's gone in an instant. And I thought, oh, that was me on the beach that day. That was me. That was my job. I was the door opener. And talk about, for millennial. I mean, who in the world would do, unbelievable. That movie changed me.
Is that generation ended up getting quite a bit wrong. The greatest generation after World War II kind of sucked. For those who want to say violence never solved anything, it solved the fuck out of World War II. And the men who died that day are so thoroughly being disrespected by the modern state of America. But we're not going to go down that road. We're not going to go down that road. Although, if you're wondering why those Epstein files haven't come out, Elon gave you a little peek under the hood. You can't love Elon, say he's the smartest man in the room, then turn on him the minute that he goes off the reservation. Or you certainly can if you're one of those people, apparently. Anyway, to happier times, to more modern times that will certainly fit better into all of our lives. Today in 1998, Sex and the City started on HBO.
So
does not age well. But still, it was great. Sex and the City was great. Do you understand the original premise of Sex and the City was going to be like a group of 4 guys, and then they were like, let's make it women.
Turned out to be an excellent decision. And I also want to ask all the guys out there that are watching us, isn't it amazing? It's one of those shows that in a way you feel like as a dude, you shouldn't be watching. You know, like when you see the opening credits it's like, oh, this is a show for women, but every man was watching that show as well. As much as you like to pretend that was about your girlfriend or your wife watching, you were locked in.
Sex and the City was fantastic in its heyday, in the height of all of it. It was of the now when it was happening. It absolutely was. Speaking of the now, oh my God, I should have put this here because I try to go in chronological order.
Sure. Today in
1983, take a look. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow.
I can do anything. Take a look. It's in a book. Yeah, please continue with this. This is gorgeous. And there is a documentary, by the way, on Netflix about this in a positive way. Not a bad ending to the story. Just about the origin of this entire thing. It'll take you back in time, Damon, like you can't even imagine.
Reading Rainbow was a big deal back on PBS, and it debuted today in 1983. And we could end on that, but I'll end on the fact that today American Pharoah won the Belmont Stakes, and probably if I asked 100 people on the street who's your last Triple Crown winner, they wouldn't say American Pharoah, but today it happened for the first time in 35 years. In 2015, we got a Triple Crown winner. And now horses don't even race the second leg of the Triple Crown anymore. And I hate that for racing.
So I was going to bring this up. I if we had time, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Whenever what's the second race is Preakness, right? Yeah, the second is in okay.
Derby, Preakness,
I was going to bring this up the other day when the Derby winner didn't race in Preakness. I remember you said 2015 is when Pharoah happened. I remember as a Philly guy, Smarty Jones was a Philly horse or horse from Philadelphia, not female, but from Philadelphia. Also, I think a Philly as well. But Smarty Jones, I went back and watched. Smarty Jones was winning Belmont for the Triple Crown. And at the end, gets past at the end. It was one of those like rip your heart out. It was going to happen. It's not like he wasn't racing. No, they were in the race and winning the race. And it was stunning what happened at the end of that.
At the Belmont, that thing goes, you got to
longer than you think.
To that pole than in any other race. It's longer than them all. And Rob C, again, was he a mutter? Not only was he a mutter, his mutter was a mutter. Fantastic. And there you go. I mean, it doesn't get better than being able to hang out with Sam for 90 minutes. Sammy, thank you as always. Like and subscribe to Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam.
Yes.
Like the Plus, if you would please like and subscribe. Somebody earlier said, hey, I've liked and subscribed as much as I can. What else can I do? Tell your friends. Tell them to be here. Hit notify. Don't miss whenever we go live. Thank you all so very, very much. Sammy, always a pleasure, man. I've got some choppy weeks coming up with little vacations that are planned.
We'll figure it out.
We might be popping up in time slots, unexpected. Hit notify, and you won't miss a thing. And on that note, thank you very much to today's benefactor, who was Rob C., who comes in big for the ganja jar today.
That's awesome.
Thank you as always, Rob. Thank you as always, Sam. Thank you, Ikes. Thank you to Status Hamantash. Thanks to our good friends at the Dubliner. Thanks to
Safe Store. Safe Store USA. Lock it up. That you will nothing is getting through that. Safe Store USA.
Lock it up. Lock it up.
You lock it up.
You lock it up. Sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, they are gone. Lock it up.